People who have been unsuccessful if we're both single at X age, we'll get married relationships. What is your story? I met someone once who did this for tax purposes. They were already good friends and planned on divorcing if they ever met someone they wanted to marry. He was confused as to why his relationships never lasted past him saying he was married. I had a friend who was in a TTY contract for an apartment that he needed to get out of. He got married to one of our other friends, also a guy, to get out of it. They got it annulled right after, but I sometimes will make a comment at a bar when he's talking to a new friend or a girl. Double quote. Hey man. You still married to that dude? My husband and I met playing FFXI, an MMO, when we were about 14 years old. We lived one state over and became good friends, chatting online and on the phone mostly. When I was going through a typical exaggerated end of the world breakup where I claimed to be unlovable and alone forever, he was trying to comfort me and said, double quote, if we're single at 24, we can get married together. I reminded him of that a bunch of times in the future when both of us went through bad relationships. At age 20, finally both single and capable of traveling, we went on our first date. It was lovely. We went to a museum and one of the best steak restaurant in the city. However, we totally couldn't afford the steak. Did 2 years long distance, USA, Japan. Continued dating. Married at 26, 2 years late, and went back to that steak restaurant and got the most expensive steak. Still married and happy, close bracket. Okay. So kinda happened. My husband and I were best friends in middle and high school. After multiple failed teenage relationships, we made a pact to get married at 35 if we hadn't found anyone yet. We lost touch in our early 20s for about 10 years, each with a child and failed marriages under our belts. We reconnected in our early 30s, realized how amazing we are for each other, and have been happily together since. It was a year or two into our relationship when a mutual friend reminded us of our pact. We didn't get married until 36. But go us? Lol. I had this with a girl. The 30 years of age deadline. We hooked up at 25 and got married at 30. Still together. We met when we were 5 years old. We had a crush on each other, but we both switched schools after 4 years and lost communication. We met again in 9th grade and became good friends. But he had a GF. For years every time one of us was single, the other was in a relationship. So we stayed as best friends and only kissed once during senior year. Eventually, after a bad breakup, he tells me if we hit 30 and we're still single we should get married. I agreed. Fast forward to 10 years after that, and we've been together for almost 2 years. Not married, but still very happy. Not successful. She asked me to marry her by 30 when we were both 19. I said sure because I had a huge crush on her anyway. We dated briefly for a summer before she went back to college and have been good friends the rest of the time. She ended up becoming a Catholic sister after college. She takes similar vows of celibacy and poverty as a nun would, but lives in the world, as opposed to being secluded in a convent, and works for the church in finance. We still see each other. Are both in our late 30s. We have talked about it and she does admit to wanting in the past to be with me romantically again. That I am the only person she has been intimate with. But that she believes strongly in what she is doing and her vows. I love her dearly as a person and don't think of her romantically anymore. But it would be hard for me to say no if she left the church and wanted to see me again. I knew a guy in high school who had a huge crush on a girl that was 5 years younger than him. They never dated because she thought the age thing was creepy, but she told him that once she was 18 if they were both single they would hook up. They aren't married yet but they have been together for 4 years. A lot of people seem to have this deal with deadline old age 30. Is it only me or is that super young to give up on finding a partner? I made this pact with a very good friend. We're both in our separate relationships that are both going very strong. And we still talk very often. She's in another country, so meeting up is kinda hard. I don't think either of us ever believed we would have needed the pact. But at the time it was nice knowing that we weren't gonna end up alone. She got married to someone else and so did I. We don't talk anymore, Not successful story. Met a guy in high school. We made the pact. I still have the written contract. For 30. We dated on and off for 10 years. I got married at 28. And he got married at 30. We still talk now and again. He is married overseas with a new baby and I have 2 kids. His wife hates me. In high school she threw out the "if I'm not married by the time I'm 40" thing and I volunteered for it. I bet she doesn't even remember that. Today we're almost 40 and we're amazing together. Maybe we'll carry out that old plan by accident. My parents grew up a few streets apart and played together all the time. They went to different schools and one or the other was always in a relationship or crushing on someone, so neither of them really saw each other as an option until they were both dumped on the very same day when they were 17/19 and decided they'd get married at 30. They've been together for 24 years. Close bracket. We agreed many years ago if we were still single at 40, we'd get married. Had a 1-year relationship with her at 30. And it ended badly. We'd spoken 3 times since then. And I'm in a relationship I'd rather not be in almost 10 years down the line. She is still single. And I wish I could go back and fix the problems. I got divorced some years ago. And my best friend happens to be gay. After I divorced, he and I both jokingly said, when we turn specified age for me and specified age for him, and if neither is married, we'll get married. Because of this, we would refer to one another as hubby and use it as a stupid in joke. Jay was always a good dude. We'd hang out and play Star Wars Battlefront on the PS4 on Christmas and get shitty-housed on mimosas. I'd take my kiddos over to have lasagna dinner twice a year. He'd come over for me to make meatloaf and watch stupid zombie movies. Yeah. We were essentially a gay couple. I'd be able to say, I'm not gay, but my husband is, and laugh about it. Unfortunately, 2 weeks ago, my friend died. I became a widow before being a married dude. We both worked at Best Buy and we were working overtime one weekend when she said that if we weren't married to someone else by the end of the year then we would get married. Well, we did end up getting married. It was all over the Best Buy newsletter. Since we both work for the company, we were both given promotion. I'm now regional manager of the Midwest division and she is in charge of something different. I can't remember what it is, but she is due to receive a big promotion pretty soon and then we're gonna have a kid and move to New York City. We can't wait. Me and my ex said this before we started dating as a joke. Carried it on through the relationship and even said it after we broke up because we are still close. I've got another year to see if that happens. Hopefully not, because her BF is a nice dude, lol. I knew a couple that sort of did this. One went on to get his PhD and they broke up because the work required would have ruined a relationship. Double quote. But if the PhD thing doesn't work out, we can start dating again. The other started dating. Got married. Had a kid. Got divorced because the guy was abusive. Started dating again. Got married again. Got divorced because he cheated on her. Years later, they reconnect on FB. Her kid has started college at this point. The PhD thing didn't work out for the guy, so he went into IT, but never married. She reminded him that he said that if the PhD thing didn't work out, then they could start dating again. So she packed up and moved to his city. When I last saw them, they had been together for 7 years. After he married and then divorced someone else, we realized we were in love and are getting married in August. 5 years ahead of our plan. Close bracket.